All right, the committee have come to order without objection. The chair is authorized to declare a recess of the committee at any time. This business meeting of the Select Committee is to consider a set of 5 recommendations for making legislative information more transparent, and I now recognize myself for 5 minutes to give an opening statement. I promise I will not take 5 minutes. So 2 weeks ago, we held a hearing on making legislative information more transparent, and today we're here to consider a set of 5 recommendations based on what we learned. And Vice Chair Graves and I agree that the recommendations we're taking up today will make it easier for the American public, as well as for members of Congress and their staffs, to find and use information about the work that we do. Transparency and ease of access to basic legislative information like bill status, committee votes, program authorizations, and lobbying disclosures promote accountability to our constituents. This committee's mandate is to, quote, investigate, study, make findings, hold public hearings, and develop recommendations on modernizing Congress. And we think this initial set of recommendations puts us on a path toward doing the job this committee was set up to do. We are the first bipartisan select committee to issue recommendations on a rolling basis, so we're entering into uncharted territory today. There's a lot of freedom in that because we're choosing to do things in a new way, and that's what this committee is all about. And with that, the chair now recognizes the vice chair for an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the chairman for his leadership and his commitment for working with me and all of our colleagues here on the committee to truly create a bipartisan package of reforms that we're going to present today. Today's recommendations speak to the main goal of this committee, and that's improving the way Congress operates so that we can better serve the American people, as the chairman has so well pointed out so many times. Now, transparency has been a key focus of this committee from the beginning, because what happens here in Congress should just be a click away from the American public. And we want to make sure that the American people can truly view the inner workings of Congress. All the changes we recommend are so that we, the members, can also better serve the constituents and do our jobs better each and every day. So today's recommendations, they're just a first step and in an important process throughout this year. And I know that we're all committed to and are excited to deliver on this today. So, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you. I look forward to working with you as we get this first package out of the way. And might I add that there's been several special select committees over the last many years we've all heard about, and I believe this is the first special select committee that is producing recommendations here on a rolling basis or on any basis at all, and we should all be pleased with this great step as we move forward. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'd now like to open up discussion on the recommendations before us today. If any of the committee members would like to offer any general comments or speak about a specific recommendation, please signal your intention to speak, and I'm happy to yield time for anyone's comments, or we'll head into to votes. Go ahead, Ms. Scanlon.
I just wanted to thank the chair and the vice chair for providing the bullet point, plain English explanation of what we're trying to do here, since it's all about transparency. I think it's important that we be able to communicate it really easily, and I think this is excellent, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the recommendation that we do that. Any other comments? Okay, seeing no further comments or questions, I move to vote on each of the 5 recommendations contained in the committee materials provided to members. Without objections, I now call on the clerk to read recommendation 1.
Recommendation 1, adopting one standardized format for drafting, viewing, and publishing legislation to improve transparency and efficiency throughout the lawmaking process.
All in favor of recommendation 1, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed to recommendation 1 say no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the ayes have it. I'll now call on the clerk to read recommendation 2.
Recommendation 2, provide resources to finish legislation comparison project on schedule and train staff to vastly improve the American public's ability to understand how amendments change legislation and the impact of proposed legislation to current law.
All in favor of recommendation 2 say aye. Aye. All those opposed to recommendation 2 say no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the ayes have it. I now call on the clerk to read recommendation 3.
Recommendation 3, modernize the lobbying disclosure system to improve the filing process and more easily find and track individual disclosures.
All in favor of recommendation 3 say aye. Aye. All those opposed to recommendation 3 say no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the ayes have it. And I now call on the clerk to read recommendation 4.
Recommendation 4, developing a centralized electronic hub that would list all federal agency and program reauthorization expiration dates by committee.
All in favor of recommendation 4 say aye. Aye. All those opposed to recommendation 4 say no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the ayes have it. And I now call on the clerk to read recommendation 5.
Recommendation 5, developing a centralized electronic hub of committee votes that would be accessible via house.gov and in machine-readable format.
All in favor of recommendation 5, say aye. Aye. All those opposed to recommendation 5, say no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the ayes have it. I now move that the committee vote to adopt the committee report containing these 5 recommendations and report it favorably to the House. All in favor of adopting the committee report, say aye. Aye. All those opposed to adopting the committee report, say no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the ayes have it. Pursuant to Rule 5A of this committee, a report summarizing the approved recommendations will be compiled and submitted to the House. Without objection, committee staff are hereby authorized to make technical and conforming changes to the report approved today. In accordance with Rule 5A of this committee, members shall have 3 days from the time of the approval of the compiled report to submit supplemental or additional views, which shall be included as part of the report. Before we conclude our business here today, I want to thank the members of this committee for engaging in this process of putting together and passing our first set of recommendations. As I mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, we're breaking new ground here, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you to continue digging in and figuring out recommendations to make Congress work better for the American people. As we know, this committee does not have legislative jurisdiction, but I think we're all committed to seeing that the recommendations of this committee are actually enacted, and I plan to introduce legislative texts to effectuate the recommendations voted on today, and I invite all members of this committee to sign on as co-sponsors to that. Unless there's any questions, concerns, without objection, the committee stands adjourned.